Welcome to On the Fence, the show that's about helping you decide whether or not to spend your hard-earned money on the biggest and possibly best releases. Natalia.
Anthony.
Hello.
I don't have an emote.
I know you
Stop
don't.
rubbing it in.
Nick, we are Avengers today.
Yes, we are.
And not only that, we, for the first time in quite a while, are doing a full goddamn sized On the Fence. I nearly called it a quick look. Wow, I've been watching too much Jam Bomb recently.
Alright, yeah.
So we are looking at Square Enix's The Avengers.
Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, we are. Nick, this is...
Hans.
Let's be honest. I don't think anyone knew what to expect from this game.
No, alright. Spoilers.
Already?
There were a lot of preconceptions about this game.
Yep.
I think I originally didn't want to like this game
We both were on that boat.
because of all the fucking Spider-Man and exclusive shit that felt very outdated and very
Okay, Commander.
um
Exactly as you
very anti-consumer. But Hans. Turns out this game's pretty good. And like way better than I ever expected it to be.
Sure.
Yes.
Let me in on your secret super spy plan.
Are you on a screen yet? Because I'm just standing here with my dick in my hand.
Oh, okay. No, I'm seeing a cutscene.
Oh, I just sat on the helicarrier.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing a cutscene at the war table.
Okay, so I'm gonna assume we should probably cut across to your screen then.
Yes, probably.
So, like, while you're having your cutscene... Oh, fade the black.
Yeah, we should be going to the Quinjet now.
Okay. That seems dumb that I couldn't see.
Yeah, that was weird.
So before we get into what we're doing currently, let's talk about, Nick, what is Marvel The Avengers?
So, Marvel's Avengers is... The best way to describe it is a third-person action game. Like, at the core gameplay level of it, not really thinking about any of the outer bits of it. Like, at its core, it's a third-person action game. You can play as 6 of the Avengers. You go to different missions. There's a pretty cool story in there. But the crux of it is... It's a games-as-a-service game, which, better put, is... Think of your games like Destiny or The Division. Is this hanging on a black screen for a weirdly long time for you too?
No, I'm in the strike team thing with Jarvis.
Oh, mine is totally hanging on a black screen.
Now you know what it was like for me.
Okay. This is... Oh no.
This is going to be the shortest On the Fence in the world.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm back on the helicarrier.
Wait, what?
I'm back on the helicarrier.
It says you're actually in the strike team with me.
Hold on. Is it loading something? Can I hit start?
Okay. You deal with this nonsense. I will tell the people what Marvel The Avengers is. Marvel The Avengers is a third-person Destiny format game. So obviously with Destiny, the whole idea was you had the central hub, and then you went out into other different kind of other worlds to do certain missions and stuff. These maps were of a fairly decent size, and then you had dungeons and sort of things kind of splintering off from each of this. So yeah, Marvel takes a lot.
I think I need to like restart my game.
Completely restart your game?
Yeah, like I can't do anything.
Okay. We're going to pause, and then we're going to come back in when we're on the strike screen. And we're back.
Yeah!
Okay.
Video games.
Second time's a charm. Nick, what is Marvel the Avengers.
So, Marvel Avengers is a third-person action game with I would say a completely single-player story, but the main component of it being this Games as a Service Destiny-style multiplayer game where you can essentially keep leveling up each of your main characters, get more gear for them, unlock new skills for them, and essentially they will keep outputting more and more content as the years potentially go on. But the crux of the single-player action gameplay in it is, yes, you can play as one of 6 Avengers. I am currently Black Widow, Hans is currently Iron Man.
Yeah.
And we have been joined by AI, Miss Marvel, and Hulk. And to their credit, I think each of them plays differently enough. Like, I think there are some similarities that they all have the same control scheme and things like that, but I think there's enough differences in their key actions that I think playing as each character is its own sort of thing.
Oh yeah, like
I could definitely see how other new characters could potentially fit into like archetypes set by the current ones. But I think as a base, these 6 are all pretty good.
yeah, like so. To me, the way I look at it is,
Oh yeah, I'm Iron Man. I can just fly over this fence.
yeah, God,
I'm Black Widow. I gotta fucking go a long way around.
yeah. So like, to me, I suppose like the big thing is the main difference from Destiny is with Destiny you kind of had your character similar to kind of an MMO. Like your character is kind of like it's your own, it has its own identity.
Like, it's a shooter.
Yeah, and like you would have a main as well, you know. Like whereas this, it's kind of like you're trying to make every Avenger your own. So like you're not, although you might have a main, you might prefer Thor or you might prefer I don't know, Hulk, which is probably shite. Not true because Hulk's shit.
Oh, controversial Hans.
Yeah, like it is. It's kind of like it's still not. It doesn't feel like it's yours. I mean, you can try and make it yours, I suppose, a bit, like with the different skins and stuff that are available. But at the end of the day, no matter what skins and abilities and stuff, your Iron Man's always going to still have the same abilities. So like that doesn't change. Oh my god, that can fly! I've never seen that fly before. What the fuck? It scared the shit out of me. Oh, that's Kamala. Sorry.
Did you just shoot Kamala?
I may have just shot Kamala, yes.
Okay, because I do it all the time to Iron Man when he was in one of the other skins I had for him.
That's because he
was just constantly shooting him because he was using a white skin.
Wow. Ah, the rocket launched me out of the sky. That could hurt so much. Ah, they keep hitting me with the rocket launcher.
Then hit them back.
It's a problem whenever you're like flying around and you're just like prime material. Why can he fly? God. Did you know that the plague guys could fly? Because I did not know this. Yeah, Hulkbuster.
Yeah, so in terms of each character's gameplay, they all share a similarity in that each character has a support ability, each character has an assault ability, I believe is the name, and each character has a ultimate ability. So in my case, as Black Widow right now, my assault ability is this Widow's Bite, like electroshock.
Yep.
My support ability is like a cloak that I can cloak my allies on myself to kind of get enemies off us.
The motherfucking Hulkbuster!
And then my ultimate ability is
the power
staff. Yeah. So it's like an electrified staff, which kind of just gives me a general damage buff and gives me a bit of a different moveset and more like AoE style abilities to take down multiple enemies at once. And that flow kind of applies to everyone. So, for example, Kamala, her support ability is like an AoE heal. She's got a big, like, straight ahead, attack as her assault ability, and then her ultimate ability is like she embiggens and becomes like way bigger and just like starts like putting a lot of damage really quickly.
Yeah. So.
And I will say the downside of that to me is I feel like there's a couple of missed opportunities there where I feel like a lot of these characters have really cool superpowers, and when you limit it to just each person only really having one ability, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like you
and
could have given some people a lot more abilities.
or like, not necessarily even give, but like obviously there's like, so I haven't seen it yet, but you know there are shops and stuff, and you have the ability to change them. Where did you go? Is there a way down? Did you get away?
Yeah,
down?
it's like a bunker.
Oh, God. Did you guys leave?
You
me
know you can
behind?
hit up and the wee orb will tell you where to go.
Whee.
Avengers assemble!
Oh God, I'm coming. Damn
Damn it, Tony, stop drinking.
Sorry. Yeah, so like the way, similar to the way that you can buy skins and buy stuff, it'd be weird. Why not have it as like a choice to buy new abilities that you can do? You know, and, like,
Yeah.
still
And, like,
have it
it's,
be like a support slot, an assault slot, and stuff like that. But you know, it's still you can still mix it up.
When you're editing this, Hans, you can cut over to my screen now. You do get like some player agency. Like, I think from reading it, you can unlock everything in your skill trees, but then you have, I don't have any unlocked currently on Black Widow, but you see here you have like specializations you can put on each of your abilities. So you unlock this skill and then you choose one of the 3 skills beneath it, or one of the 3 traits beneath it to apply to your skill. And you can sort of like add new effects to your ability. So that's kind of like, oh, like, so my Black Widow her Widow's Bite might do something different to your Black Widow's Bite.
Mm-hmm. But it's still Widow's Bite at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still going to be that electroshock thing. And like everyone's Black Widow is going to play the exact same way.
Oh, had a bit of pop in there.
But yeah, so I think that's maybe the one misstep in terms of the gameplay, I think. But overall, I think it is, like, I'm very satisfied whenever I play any of the characters. Like, I may not like playing Hulk, but there's still something very satisfying about a lot of his abilities where you're just ripping through people at an insane pace because you are this humongous green fucker.
Yeah, and we touched upon it, or we spoke about it kind of off camera. Like, there is something, like, although some like playing as some of the characters is not fun during the campaign because you're kind of playing by yourself with the AIs. You can kind of see the appeal of other, like playing it with a party. So, our example was Tony. So Tony goes down like a cheap hooker. Like, he has not very much HP, and he is like, he doesn't take much of a thrashing compared to like the Hulk. But whenever you are like, for example, right now, I'm actually quite enjoying it because the enemies are AOE or aggroing to Hulk or to use, so I can just stay back and launch
And there is,
range
like,
attack.
they actually do lean into that. Like, Hulk actually has an ability where it specifically says, oh, this will draw aggro.
Yeah.
And, like, Black Widow has an ability that says, yeah, enemies will stop paying attention to you if you use the Cloak of Shadows and things like that. So there is obviously, in the design of the game, there is obviously that to think about. And, like, you can specialize, like, I know one of Kamala's Embiggen specializations is when she uses Embiggen, it'll draw aggro. So it's not like they weren't thinking of stuff like that, but then it just means that whenever you're playing it solo, and say your AI Hulk isn't playing in that way, it makes playing as Iron Man then feel a bit shit because, like, you're just constantly going down really easily without really thinking, oh, like, I couldn't have done anything different there.
What?
Because
Sorry. What?
Yeah, right there, Hans.
Sorry, I was gonna say what turbine you at, but then you came on and started attacking A, so I was like, oh, that's where he's at.
I mean, they all just need to be destroyed.
I know, but I don't want to go by myself because I'll get pwned, like I was saying.
And like, it's like, even like if you look at Iron Man's skill trees, like, it's very obvious they expect you to play him kind of as a ranged person. Like, he has very few melee things to point into. Like, it is like you have one melee tree that has about 5 abilities on it, and then 3, like a tree each for 3 different ways you can do range damage, like between your repulsors, your rockets, and a laser, I think is the 3rd one.
Yeah, and like, I will say though, like, they kind of tie in well to...
Okay, that was weird on my screen.
Yeah, right?
You put like that shield thing up, and just as I did like my grapple hook, and I just grappled your shield and stood there in the pose for a while.
Okay, cool. Sure. What I will say is, like, see, and it ties into the idea of like every character does playing a bit differently. like those lasers and the pulsars and the rockets that you get do kind of help you play a wee bit differently with Iron Man. So like the likes of the lasers and stuff, they're actually really helpful for when you are wanting to be a bit more melee, because they have these large... Oh, that's on fire.
It's a lot of fire.
These large, like, sweeping...
Oh, I think we just need to get out of here.
These large sweeping attacks. And then kind of with the rockets and stuff, you can be a bit more DPS with, like, being a Hulk-esque character. Obviously, you wouldn't tank as much, but you would 100% still deal as much damage. But, although, I will say, though, the single player, we're kind of, well, not that we're bad mouthing the single player campaign. Single player campaign is really fucking good.
Like, it's...
They didn't skimp on it like I thought they would. They really did put a full...
It's very easy to, like... The Destiny comparison comes very easily because this is literally Destiny just with a different coat of paint on it. But yeah, like, whereas Destiny, I feel like the single player is very much like... It's very wishy-washy, it's very pie in the sky, like, there's not a lot of meat there. Like, this is a very substantial story mode. Like, I think I'd put easily about 20 hours into that story mode, and I only just finished it this morning. And, like, it's a good story. I think it's a bit... I think I said to you, it's a very cookie-cutter, like, Avengers story or superhero story, but it's very well executed.
Yeah.
Which is precisely what you would kind of want out of, like, the first of potentially a series, or for them to be building, like, multiple stories on top of.
Well, that's it. Like, we said, like, when we talked about it, this, like, the story in this, it does a fantastic job of capturing the feel of a Marvel film. Yeah. Like, between the way it's shot, the characters, the story itself. Like, if you put the cutscenes all together, it is straight up just a Marvel film, and that's actually a really good thing, I suppose, because we have come from... If you think about previous games, you know, and, like, this...
Like, yeah, like, the comparison you could probably make is, like, stuff like Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very competent game, but in terms of being a Marvel story, it feels like it is just...
It's a video game story. That's what
the story is just a means to get you from place to place.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the best comparison I can make is the new Spider-Man game. Like, that game has a very... Like, a story you could easily see played out across multiple, like, Marvel films.
Yeah.
Like, as an arc. And then, I think maybe this one is very similar, is you could see bits of this, like, being spread out across, like, single character movies, and then they all come together like they did in the actual Avengers, like the first... Whatever, the first phase.
Yeah. So I just, so, like, I think the story's been fantastic. I suppose we'll talk about what the basic story is, and we've kind of... You did see it on the trailers and stuff. So, A-Day is an event that happened 5 years after you kind of jump into after the prologue, which is... There was a terrorist attack.
Essentially, it's the Avengers launching their big new...
Helicarrier.
Like, Chimera, like, base of operations.
Yeah. With
this new clean energy, and there is a terrorist attack that results in the death of Captain America and the what's the best word? Like, the contamination of San Francisco with this Terrigen gas, which results in Inhumans being created, which are essentially just
they're heroes.
They're people they're no ordinary people who've been given powers, and one of such people is Kamala Khan, who was at A-Day.
Yeah, and so pretty much Kamala then sets out on a quest to kind of reassemble the Avengers after she discovers that one of the scientists who worked on Terrigen gas may have sabotaged or been a part of the sabotage. Yeah. Which is, and say, like, it has all the story beats from a Marvel film. Like, it's got the cocky, arrogant, kind of funny youth. It's got, like, the trying to think. It's got, like, the global spanning, like, story where, like, you end up in, like, every part of the world. It's got the villain that kind of, like, you see get progressively more and more evil as the story goes. And, like, it hits all those notes, and it hits them really well. And, like, the scene that stands out to me is it's whenever the first time that Kamala is caught by the villain and she's in the car with him, and just the way that is shot is just, it was just, I can't even describe it, like I was just looking at that. This is like this could be a Marvel film. This is just fantastic. I really just thought it was like I just couldn't fault it, and the acting as well. So they've taken notes. I never feel like they've taken notes from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So,
like
that was something that came up a lot whenever the game was first revealed. Is it felt like it was. A lot of people commented like it feels like, and I think it's just maybe a case of because people are so used to the movies that when they saw people who weren't, say, Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr. and all that playing the characters, it felt very weird. Yeah. But I do feel like you get past that very quickly, and while they're not entirely unique spins on each of the characters, I do think they are very well performed. Yeah. Like versions of each of the characters.
Well, that's it. And really, I'm not looking for like. I like going into this, especially with the Marvel, the Marvel kind of tag on it. I'm not looking for a brand new take on, Tony Stark, because let's be honest, like Tony Stark is not an original character. How often does he change, really? I'm looking for a competent, either comic book or movie accurate. Are we done? Did we finish?
I think so.
Oh, comic book or movie accurate, spin on it, and they kind of blur those lines. Like I say. There are definitely, like, the way that Nolan North plays Tony Stark, you can see bits of Robert Downey Jr. in there. And the way that Troy Baker does Banner is actually quite unique. It's nothing like Mark Ruffalo's.
Yeah. Like, it's a very broken Bruce Banner after the events of A-Day.
And he acts it beautifully. Like, it's really, really good. So, like, honestly, like, I look at the story. This honestly could be the Miss Marvel MCU film. Like, that's what this could be.
You better explain when you get back here. And allow me to take the scenic.
Like, yeah, like it's, as you said, yeah, like each person does like their performance very well. Like even like the guy who plays George Tarson, the main villain, he does it very well and comes across as very fucking creepy. In the right ways.
He like when he obviously he changes as the story goes, but
yes,
he looks like your boy who played. What's his name? The guy, something Leary. He voiced the Sabretooth in Ice Age.
Oh, yeah.
It is something Leary, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Dennis Leary, is that it?
Yes, I think so.
He looks like him, and I actually thought it was him, and it's definitely not, but...
No.
We just blew through that entire mission and didn't even say what it was.
Hey, man. Don't need to.
We don't need to say what that mission was?
Yeah, well, that's just spoilers.
That's something I do think, like, the format for each of these missions, so unless it is a story mission, like the story missions are paced very much like a single player campaign. So I think you're going to get black screen again, Nick. Because I was just told the hero I am is currently not available for this mission. And that's what happened last time. So I get the feeling we're going to be stuck in limbo again.
Well, I am back I am in the Quinjet.
Okay, right. Well,
I wonder if I don't know, can I?
Well, we'll talk while we do this. So, what are we talking
about? Yeah, so like it's...
Oh, the game format, right. Yeah, so the level format. So, I feel like the single player levels and stuff, the ones that are kind of story eccentric, do have a very, like, they have been designed as story levels, and, you know, like, there's pacing to it, and the combat's good and stuff like that. The war zones and the other things, like the missions, so the one we were on there was an iconic mission, which is kind of like, it gears a bit, although it's single player, or it can be single player, it gears a bit more towards what we would look as a usual Destiny sort of level. And I notice when we do those, it falls into the trap of just doing the same things over and over again, which are just typical Destiny things, like, oh, control these points, oh, capture this flag, oh, fight off so many waves. Like, I get that's the format, but I just, like, to me, I don't find that interesting.
Yeah, like I think that is where it feels like this is very much a game of two halves, where someone who has no interest in, say, the Destiny side of things will get a perfectly competent and very well told story mode that occasionally goes into per mission design, and then that per mission design is essentially the crux of what the Destiny side of the multiplayer is. And it's a shame because I feel like the gameplay can carry this game quite far, but there is, in terms of it being one of these games as a service, right now there just is not enough content. Are you still on black screen? I wonder what happens if I just launch this mission.
You know what? Fuck it. We'll say that we did it. Fuck it. Hi, welcome back. This has been a fucking travesty trying to get this to work.
I'm gonna blame Hans for not having a Square Enix account.
Really?
Yes.
Because I'm gonna say this game needs to sort its fucking servers out.
Yeah, I will also say, yes, it is the second day of release, and every game always has server issues.
So get ready for 5 more minutes of gameplay before we cut away to give our review. So we are doing not a campaign mission. This is more of a generic drop zone, they called it.
Yeah, so they call them drop zones, and they are essentially generated missions. Like, they are not like these will be like refreshed. I think they said, like, I think by the looks of it, it's like every 8 hours there will be new drop zones put onto the mission table in the Avengers initiative section of the game.
Oh, chest. Got some loot.
Yeah, so like they are essentially just, they will typically be like, oh, go here, do this thing in like prefab rooms and things like that. Will not be any real major story beats.
Yeah, so like they do seem to kind of reuse certain maps and stuff. Like I fought in this room at least twice in the main campaign.
Yeah, it's like this, like to compare it to the Destiny side of things. Like this is what your essentially your world quest would be in Destiny.
Yeah. The fucking thing go.
Pew 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 pew. Pistol 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 pistol.
So like, do you have any more thoughts about the gameplay?
No, like, honestly, I think the gameplay is super solid. Like, I actually really enjoy playing the game. There's a couple of things I would do to maybe make it a bit more engaging, like team-up abilities and things like that.
Yeah.
That could be added.
That'd
but
be nice, yeah.
like, as it stands, no, like, I think the gameplay is super solid. I think I enjoy playing the game, which, like, from some of the early gameplay things they put out, did not look like it was going to be the case. Some of the gameplay, like early gameplay things they put out, looked super rough.
Yeah.
But I think
I would
they've
say
turned it around and it has become, like, it's very fun to play.
So I would say I'm probably on the flip. I don't think the gameplay's bad. That's not what I would say. But I would say
That sounds like that's what you're about to say, Hans.
I definitely prefer the kind of the story missions and stuff than kind of these drop quest things.
Invisible Hulk? Oh, you don't go invisible. Whoa! Giant blitz robot.
So, like, to me, like, this is all well and good and stuff. And I think the gameplay, I don't think it's bad. I think it's perfectly fine. And I'm sure people will enjoy it. But for me, this is, like, I prefer the story missions. So, like, once the story's over and done with, maybe play with you a bit if you want. But I'd say until kind of more story mode stuff comes out, which is either going to be, as we discussed, there might be, like, whenever they're introducing new characters, then they release kind of a short story string of, 2 or 3 story missions.
Yeah, like, essentially their equivalent of, like, the iconic missions we did earlier.
Yeah. Which I think is probably the most likely thing. Until they kind of release an expansion, similar to how Destiny do, which I think are definitely going to have more. They'll have more story content.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, from the on the outset, it kind of looks like it's going to be probably a similar model to Destiny, where I could see them doing, like, free content updates throughout the year, and then doing, like, one big yearly expansion.
Yeah.
So, like, they'll do, I think they've come out and said that the first, like, couple of DLC characters, like, it's Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, and, like, Black Panther, going to be, like, the first set of DLC characters, or like, the first new characters added. And then obviously Spider-Man's coming out next. I think they said spring 2021, and no doubtly there will be more in between then until then, say next September, they put out the first paid for expansion probably.
Mm-hmm. So like I think like it's. So like the character stuff, do you think it'll be free?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they've said the characters will be free, but you'll have to buy the the challenge cards that each character has. Essentially, the characters like battle pass.
So wait, what does that mean?
So you will get the character and you'll be able to play as them, but you'd like that battle pass gets you like new resources, like new emotes for that character, new costumes for that character. You'll still be able to get those via the in-game shops using the currencies, or you can buy each character's character pass. So
it'll just give you everything in one go.
So, well, it'll give you that pass to unlock, and then as you can do the challenges like you can for the current ones, like the 6 passes for the current characters come with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but they've already said that, yes, like completing one pass will give you enough of the paid currency to buy the next character's pass. So I think even if you complete one character's pass in the base game, you'll have enough to buy Hawkeyes or Black Panthers whenever they come out. So there you can like, if you're playing enough of the game, which I imagine the people who are way into this game will be playing, that you'll never need to put real money into the game after buying it until, say, the expansion comes out.
Alright, so we are going to cut ahead now to kind of our final thoughts and opinions on Marvel Avengers over some more gameplay, which we're going to do now. So that was footage of me and Nick playing Marvel the Avengers. But Nick, I have a question to ask you.
That's funny, Hans, because I also have a question for you.
Right, don't interrupt me ever again, I'll kill you.
Sorry. As you're the older brother, I shall let you go first.
Okay, thank you. You disrespectful wee shit.
Okay.
God, I hate you.
I hate me too, don't worry.
This is going to turn into a 10-minute ramble of me telling you how much I hate you and why. Like, if I was on the fence about Marvel Avengers, what would you say to me?
I feel like Marvel Avengers is very much, in its current state, a game of two halves. I think the gameplay itself is completely solid and really, like, I've really enjoyed the gameplay. I think some characters are better than others, but at the end of the day, when you get to the multiplayer section of the game, you can kind of focus on one character, so it's not that big an issue. But in terms of two halves, I feel like, I mean, the story and the campaign, as they put it, is really good. It is top tier. It's a really good story, well told, and it's fun to go through, and it's a really solid 20-hour campaign. The flip side of that is the multiplayer is repetitive missions, and repetitive missions in kind of the same areas over and over again. There's not a lot there right now, which is funny because like that's exactly how Destiny started. So I feel like give it 6 months to a year and I feel like the multiplayer is in a really good state. But as it stands now, the single player is very good, but maybe not enough to justify the full price tag. If you have interest in the multiplayer and know you will be involved and be continually playing one of these games and service games, it seems like it's going to be a very good one of those, and Square Enix have made it clear that they do plan to really support it. But as it stands now, if you're in no big fuss for a new Marvel story, I easily wait for this campaign, because while it's very good, it's tacked on to... They've had to make some compromises in it for the multiplayer. But Hans, if I was on the fence about Marvel Avengers, what would you say?
I think you're right. I think it is very much a game of two halves. I think the single player stuff is very, very good to a surprisingly good degree, and they haven't skimped on it. Like it's about 20 hours. I've heard people say they've knocked out in 15 if they streamlined it. So 15 to 20 hours is not a short game by any stretch of the imagination. Story's great. It feels like a Marvel film and it looks like a Marvel film, and that's not a bad thing. On the flip side, yeah, so like the multiplayer stuff, like from what we played there, and one of them was supposed to be like the post-campaign story almost. Like we knocked it out in 10 minutes. Like that is not substantial, and it's a shame because like that is always the caveat with multiplayer games, is they do have to sacrifice story for gameplay, but other games in the past now have done that in a much better way, where they've tried to blend it a bit better. Like, look at Star Wars: The Old Republic. You know, like, they have done a much, it's not a grand job, but it's a better job of kind of blending that story narrative element into a multiplayer game. So I don't get why they couldn't have done that. So yeah, like, I agree. Like, for me, I feel like at the minute it's a good single player game with a multiplayer tacked on. I think personally I'm going to kind of fizzle out very quickly after I do the campaign. I just have no interest in unlocking all the skins, and I have no interest in maxing out my Captain America, and I think it's just, yeah, for me, justifying a £50 price tag is quite difficult. You know, who knows, maybe I'll come back in once I'll be interested to see what it'll be like when they do release more characters. And kind of like, I will 100% be on board for coming back in to maybe try them and see how they're integrated into it. I'll definitely be interested to see once they release more story stuff, especially if it's done to the same high standard and the same length as the campaign in this, like actual expansion pass. I'll 100% come back for that.
Like, it'll be interesting. Like, I could very much see you probably coming back every time maybe they release a new character and playing through there
are three or four missions or whatever.
They're like iconic missions. Yeah, well, that could probably come out with them, and then leaving it there. Whereas I will probably, like, this will probably end up being like my go-to like podcast type game for the foreseeable future. Where like, oh, I've got like a big massive, or I want to get through a couple of things on Netflix, I'll play this and go like rattle through missions in the background while I watch that.
But overall, still a lot more positive on it than I thought I would be originally.
Yeah, like I think that is the underlying message. Is like, I think this is way better than most people ever expected it to be. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a much more solid foundation and way more positive than anyone really expected coming out of some of the previews.
That was the Marvel Avengers, currently out for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, Stadia, and the Xbox One, and also coming to PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X in the...
For free as well, free upgrades.
For free upgrades, hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, I think they've said this will be pretty much at launch of those new consoles.
No, I mean near future, as in hopefully the consoles will launch in the near future.
Yeah, but yeah, free upgrades if you... I know PS4 at least is a free upgrade. I'm assuming the Xbox One is also a free upgrade.
Hey, do you remember Stadia? It bombed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me, Nick.
No problem.
Did I say for $49.99? For $49.99.
Hulk smash. Or £80.
Hulk smash that like button and subscribe to our channel.
Boo.